It's a lot of us. We are so big and so vast as humans, and we use 20% of it. Get into the rest of that 80. Consider that studying and getting to where you've gotten is 20% of you being a human. It's 80% of you to discover. And that's over time, but it's also now. It's right at this point.
So the question is this: how do thought leaders, school dropouts, former and current students find out what's next after they do or don't cross that stage? If you want to know the secrets to starting the career or business of your dreams, getting paid whatever you desire, and discovering what you do the best with the least amount of effort, then this is the right podcast for you. I'm Shawn Anthony, and this is School's Over. Now what? The podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Shawn Anthony, and I'm excited for this, just for you guys clicking that button. There's over 700,000 podcasts you could be listening to right now, but you have chose this one, and we have a banger, iconic episode. But let me tell you guys, before we jump into this thing, a little bit about what we do. Each and every single week, we continue to bring you an inspiring person or message that's truly going to help you get to that next level, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're somebody in a career right now trying to just simply get promoted. This is the podcast that's going to take you to the next level, giving you the tools. But most importantly, everybody who has been on this show has answered the question we have all asked ourselves at some point in our lives, and that's: school's over, now what? And this show has completely blown up, constantly rated in the top 100 in iTunes in the business category. I am forever grateful. And if you guys have ever listened to this show, you know how I like to kick this thing off with the review of the week. And this week's review of the week comes from D. Burgess. And they wrote, Shawn does a great job of helping creatives discover their passions and encourages people to be great. Looking forward to applying all the gems Shawn and his guests have dropped to my personal brand. Definitely give School's Over Now What a listen. Hey, D. Berg, I appreciate you guys. And if you feel the same way as, D. Burgess just left, scroll to the bottom of iTunes right now. This is so important. This has helped us grow the show in just tremendous ways. Scroll to the bottom of iTunes right now and click that 5-star rating and leave your review. All right, let me do some housekeeping real quick. This is important right now. If you're listening to this Sunday, that's right, this Sunday, I am doing a free webinar. I've been able to grow this amazing show, but I want to teach you guys how to do it, because right now you got a voice, you have a message, and people need to hear it. And I'm doing a free webinar this Sunday on how to build your top 100 podcasts in less than a year. Be sure to click that registration link down below and sign up now, as I'm going to give you the tools, the resources, everything you need to make this thing happen. And here's the thing, guys, it's a lot easier than you think. So don't miss out on this huge opportunity. Scroll to the bottom and click that registration link and sign up for the free webinar happening this Sunday. All right, let's get to the reason you click that button. I need you guys to hit the icon alert. I need for you guys to get ready, buckle up right now if you're driving your car. If you're listening to this sitting down, sit your chair up right now if you're listening to this. Today's episode, we feature none other than the superstar Grammy Award-winning MC herself, Estelle. And Estelle, guys, if you don't know who she is, let me refresh your memory real quick. She's a British singer, songwriter, rapper, record producer. You guys may have, heard her from this huge song that she had called American Boy featuring Kanye West, which reached #1 on multiple charts. She's worked with some of the biggest artists in the world, like John Legend, Robin Thicke, Rick Ross, Chris Brown. I mean, the list is so long, I can't even sit here and do it, guys. So we'll be here all day. And what I'm so excited about having her on this particular episode is we're going to talk about her heritage, how she grew up, and how while now is the time for you guys to be prepared more than ever. COVID cannot take over. This is bound to be one of your favorite episodes of all time. So let's jump right into it. Episode 118 with Estelle. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back on the show with the one and only. We're talking about, singer, songwriter, and incredible MC. In case you didn't already know, the one and only Estelle is on the podcast today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. I appreciate you for just hopping on this today. And I think it's always important, right? Our guests, 9 times out of 10, they already know who you are. They've already hit that Google button. They know what it is. But it's always important to give our guests an idea of people's background, right? You have, this amazing West Indian heritage. Take me back to like that girl growing up in the UK.
Oh, it's been a ride. My mom is from Senegal and my dad is from Grenada. So I'm half and half directly, I want to say. So I identify more as African more than even West Indian. It's just a whole thing. I embraced my West Indian side as I got older, and that was more via the music and the food until I actually met my real dad when I was 17, 18. So raised with my stepdad, who was West Indian, so I knew about the culture, but the meeting of my West Indian side was when I was much older. So I was raised African. We were just loads of us in our house, loads of us. There's 9 of us directly. By the time I was 19, there were 9 of us. We're a football team. One of the best ways. We were each other's friends. It is what it was. And one of us, you touch one of us, you touch all of us. You love one of us, you love all of us, and that's what it is even to this day. So it was fun. Like all the music that I listen, that you hear coming from me now is because I grew up in this hugely eclectic household, and everybody had their point of view and were encouraged to share their point of view or be themselves. My mom wasn't a stifler at all. We have certain family members who didn't understand, but, she was determined to do right by us as a generation, compared to where she had been sort of stifled in certain ways. So this was, that was our life. We got to live and be. Oh
man, that's crazy. So like in terms from what I read, your mom was a huge influence, on you, right? What would be like one of those biggest lessons you would say that your mom taught you?
Oh, she told me to have a backup. She told me to have a backup. Yeah, she played no games about that. Because she saw my dad is actually a musician, and he played and toured with many, like, he toured with Bob Marley, so that was that. That was a whole thing. He went on the road with him, and they opened up for him, and he had his band, and that was huge for them back in the day in the UK. And also, she saw like the struggles. She saw the behind the scenes. So she was like to me, "Hey, just have a backup, because if anything goes left, I want you to be able to still live and be good on your own. I won't always be here. We won't always be here. Mom and dad and whatnot." So she says, just have a backup. And that was her main thing. So I've taken care, even with music, to learn every aspect of music, to be able to handle myself if everything goes belly up, and that's been one of the things that's kept me along for a while through all the changes. And I started off independent and, come back around. Here we are independent again, and it's the best place to be, right? Everyone wants to be independent and owning their masters and doing anything, and give me mine. So I'm just here like, yeah, we've been there. We've been there.
We already know what time it is. What's crazy for me? Like it's always understanding. Like I want you to kind of take people through that journey real quick of starting off as an MC to having these amazing hits like American Boy and others, right? What's so interesting is understanding how people have the mentality that they have, right? I'm a Capricorn. You're a Capricorn, which I think the mentality is a little different, right?
Yeah, we're special. We get focused and that's it.
Focus is a wrap. And you talk about focus, right? Like for you, tell the people the story, because some people right now might not have ever heard of this story. I want y'all to know how focused Estelle was early off in her career, because it shows just how much it is important to be, an entrepreneur and have this mentality. You ran down on Kanye in Roscoe's and walked up to him. A lot of people wouldn't have the guts to do that, right? Like what did that, that spark come from where you say, you know what, this person needs to know about what I got going on?
I wanted to do a record with John Legend. That was simply it. Like, I'd heard the demos and the mixtapes, and I happened to be I was recording in LA, taking myself out there. And even just the circumstances that got me to be able to get to record was, it's always prayer and it's go and do the work, right? Is what Drake said. I'm the type to say a prayer and then go get what I don't pray for. I'm that person. Right? And so I was out there doing the thing, recording my debut album and just putting records together. And we happened to be staying down the street from Roscoe's in LA. And I literally am listening to the I'm Good mixtape. The mixtape he had out before and like right off of when he put out the very first album, Through the Wire and all of that, right? And I'm having a whole time in my soul like, oh, this music is so great. This artist you got singing on here, I want that guy on my album. I've been like saying this, I'm gonna work with him. I don't know, I feel it. His music, something in his voice, whenever I hear it, I know it is this guy. And so he's in Roscoe's, and I just said, I just need to meet Kanye. I don't even know how this is gonna happen, but and I walk into Roscoe's and they just boom. And I was like, okay, God, if you real, because this is real, this is wild. I need Kanye to walk out so I can say something. So I put my order in and I was sat outside, and it was wild. And I sat down and I was like, he walks outside and I was like, thank you, God. All right. Hey, Kanye. And we started talking about some London, and he was like, where you from? I was like, London. I really like you, but I want to do a song with John Legend. Is he in there? I can speak to him. He's like, well, he's eating right now. I was like, okay, cool. Where will you be? So can I give you my number or email? He said, well, you can come studio later if you want. And I was like, okay. And, I'm used to being around rappers. I started as a rapper. Yeah. So the energy around me I wasn't scared that, this was some kind of scenario, or I was like, I can handle myself. I'm straight. And I look at everything divinely like set up for me. I knew how to handle myself because I'd been around all of the guys all of the time at home. So it wasn't the energy of I could go there and however I wanted to go and still get the thing done, And I did. I went down there. We talked. We had a conversation. I watched him sing. I didn't know it was him. And then he told them a note that they didn't know was missing. And they were like, yeah, the engineer had it turned down. He almost got fired. I felt so bad. It was like, don't fire him. He had it low. Because they were frustrated. They were like, I can't hear that middle note. And I was like, it's da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, I just sang that. And the engineer was like, oh, my bad. I was just like, oh my God.
Almost got fired.
Because Gabe was looking at him like, how you gonna let this brand new human to walk in here and show us up? Like, is that kind of like, but then we walked out and it was just cool. Cause again, the energy I gave and what they saw from me was, oh, she about her stuff. I came with a hard drive. I was ready. I was prepped. I said, hey, here's the record. I sang the hook. I wrote it, sang it already. And I gave to him, I said, hey, I want this. And you can fill in the bits. But I almost wanted to sound like a sample, like an old school draggy, like soul blues sample. And that song became Hey Girl. There's a few records that John has verbatim sang of mine on my records and on his, where he's just like, no, I like that. I'm just going to re-sing it, Yeah, that's real. And his thing with me was always your melodies just pop up out of nowhere and they stay in your head. And I'm just like, thank you. The eclectic upbringing, that's from listening to will.i.am and Dennis Brown and, and Nina Simone and Alexander O'Neal and Stevie Wonder all at the same time. That's from that, So,
that's real.
So he, so there was that respect. And, and I think it's been that forever since.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so real. I think, guys, I want you to grasp right there. So many keys Estelle just dropped, right? Like going in, being prepared, having what you need to have ready so that when you get, this moment in your life, people know you're ready for it to the point where like, yo, where have you been? Right? Like that's how people walked out of that room and feeling that type of way. Like for you, right? You've been, doing so many different things. I always like watching how easy, you make it look to adapt to, the times that are forever changing, right? What is COVID? Like, because COVID hit, it kind of threw everybody off. With COVID coming out as an artist, how has COVID, made you adjust?
Well, my personal run with this whole thing has been like, So I've been on, like, personally, I've been like dealing with balance for like the past few years. And it's like, you know, like you work so hard for so long, and then eventually you physically or emotionally or mentally crash, right? Mm-hmm. And I could see myself hitting that crash. And I was like, I don't want to crash and I don't want to burn. How do I get this in check? So for the past 2-3 years, I've been working on balance, like making sure that days when I feel tired, I just sleep. I don't care what's going on. I'm like, hey, push that to another day. I need to take a nap. Or, hey, I'm not going to stay awake and play with you people. I need to go sleep right now. You know, like I take care of my physical self first. I take care of my emotional self first. I stopped feeling bad about, oh, I need to go. I need to see a therapist about some things I don't want to talk to my friends about. I didn't feel bad about it. I just do it now, you know? So I've been working on that side of balance, and some of that requires being on your own, right? And just being solo. And God had me in a space where I could be solo, I could be on my own. I'm grateful for that. But it was almost like prep. I think that with COVID, if we were really listening, if people were really paying attention to their lives, everyone was getting prepped for what was going to happen this year. Everybody was kind of being put on hold with certain things. Things were being shifted in their careers, and we were being forced into new ways. And most people spent the time fighting it instead of flowing with it, right? So up to we're here, and everyone was like, we got to stay home for 4 months? Oh, what? And I was like, oh, this is, baby, I've been home for a whole year. I don't know what you mean. Like, I've been out for a gig or two because I have to, because I want to, but like, other than that, you know, and I had already kind of, between myself and the team, I had already kind of gotten to a space where I was like, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it, just so you're clear. And second of all, how can we do smarter, not harder? Because I need this time to figure out what I got going that's hurting me, physically hurting me, emotionally hurting me, mentally hurting me. I have to fix it. And it's not going to be running after whatever check. It's not going to be running after whoever's version of events or set of rules. I had to get back to myself. And it's been, I can't say that I've been hating it or it's been terrible. It's been good, you know, for me. But the good things came because I took the time and I balanced myself a little bit. And so like things are finally easier to stay in my life and to be good and flourish in my life. It's almost like you have some scales, right? And you put plants across the scale. Now, if the scale is doing this, that plant can't stay up and grow. I had to get it here so that when the plant came, I had to get it to a level so that when the plants came to grow, like they'd have a solid level base. And that's what I worked on for the past year and a half. Yeah. So this isn't tough.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's interesting. It is tough looking and hearing in the news every day. That's like, and I can't tell you how hurtful it feels when people's parents and people's family members are dying unnecessarily. That's the part that's tough, right?
Yeah.
But as far as the other side, it's just a welcome break. We got to actually live and do the things we've been planning to do in the back of our brain. You use the time wisely. You still have 6 months of this year left, despite what they're saying. There are still ways you can flow and do the things you want to do, you know?
Yeah. Hey guys, so let me take a guess. You're enjoying the show. And if that's right, please make sure that you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast right now and tag me at Shawn R. Anthony _. I promise you this is going to help in amazing ways. And while you're at it, hit the 5-star rating and subscribe. With that being said, guys, let's get back to the show. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful advice for the listeners right now, is that right now you can start, planning what to execute. You can learn that, that trade or that task, that thing that you did not know what you needed to do. This is the time for that. So I appreciate you for just being, real, with our audience right there and letting them know that information. I want to talk about this because it's so important. When I look at people who made adjustments and movements and things like that, there's a lot of things, and we can talk about Love Is Rock, which I thought was an incredible album. It sounded different, like you got to your bag. Like, what did the inspiration, like, for that come from?
This is, everyone asks me, how come you just about to do a reggae album? I was like, oh, is this new? And I was just like, so you haven't heard my albums, have you? Because every single album has a reggae track on it, and every single album has a 50s doo-wop album as a nod to the roots of music and as a nod to where I come from. Right? I do it on purpose. It's like it's no, and it's 5 albums. So like if you check them all, here we are. So I think people have been asking me since I did come over and shine. So we about to do a reggae album or no? And I was just like, wait, I need to be grown for that. I need to have the weight for that, because people will come at me crazy if I just try to throw up a reggae album off of one single. Yeah. You know, like I was like, everyone relax. So by the time I felt worthy to a degree, my life was really starting to hit that need the patience, need the balance. I was figuring out things with why my life was going a specific way, relationship wise, with my mom and my dad. And that's that album was based on and dedicated to them. And just the idea and the story that, you know, like love is love whenever, however, in all through space and time. And it turned me onto the idea of soulmates and twin flames and karmics and all of that. And I started to realize where I was going wrong. And so, you know, it led me to fix some things. I had to fix some things. But that album was, Lovers Rock started in 1979. I was born in 1980. So I was a Lovers Rock baby. My dad produced on and toured with Bob Marley produced on a lot of Lovers Rock classics, and then toured with Bob Marley opening up for, and toured with a lot of Lovers Rock and reggae artists. So that's in my genes, in my blood, in my core. This is all we listened to in the house. I remember being young and Louisa Mark would come to our house. Louisa Mark was an incredible Lovers Rock star. Lovers Rock is specific to the UK. It was like reggae music, but R&B sang over it. Typically R&B in a specific style sang over it, right? Very, very slow, very, very dub, like real easy. And then she'd be singing a big R&B song and like giving you all the high notes and stuff. And I remember seeing her come to the house, and this lady had on a fur. This lady had on all her gold. This lady had a little short hair, and she looked like she was so popping to me. Like, I think that was like I was like, my mom and them was so happy. Yeah, Louisa Mark's at our house. Oh my God. Like it's like, I guess if I go to my niece and my nephew's house now, Auntie Stell's here at the house. Like, it's that kind of like, I used to look at her and just be like, oh, she looks so good. She was just decked at all times.
Iced out.
Goldie, like down, like tooth, like hair, like just. And I was so excited. I used to be so excited whenever I see her. And that was kind of and then I realized as a kid, I had an affinity for gold, just the color gold. So my aesthetic through the years has been black and gold and purple, right? And I was like, that's where, you know, so a lot of things kind of was like, boom, 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 like, and then I figured it goes further back to my great grandma, and she loved gold. So it's all, some of the things were genetic, but, you know, the whole vibe was just like, I felt, and the idea was back to myself, coming back to myself and what I consider home, right? So Lovers Rock was that. And people were like, why did she, and is this a dancehall album? They wanted what they expected and they got what they got.
Yeah.
You know?
That's how it is.
And I felt grateful about it. I wasn't at all upset. I was just like, man, I get to honor my parents.
Incredible.
I get to do something that I love, honoring music I love and I've always loved. 0 parts upset at life right now. This is, you know, it's a good time. So
incredible piece of work.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about something I've seen that you already are moving, right? Like I always like when people are movers and shakers. You're a mover and shaker, and you just announced, you know, a huge thing with Apple Music and the Estelle Show. So tell us a little bit about it. What can we expect from this thing?
Oh man, this was the hardest secret to keep. I told you, I sat there and I was like, well, thanks. The balance is out here popping. This is a good time. No, it was, that came again. We stay convicted and we stay in our space, right? I stay listening to God. I stay listening. I pray and I listen and I go get it. And me and my team were trying to talk to Apple about a whole other, project. Hey, we would love to present a reggae Afro beats and off of Lovers Rock. We'd love to present a reggae Afro beats, and you know, and they were like, you know, who you are and what you represent is bigger than just a genre, just that singular genre. How about you do all the genres? How about you be who you are? How about you, really present that and become a real host on a radio station with Apple? And I was like, yeah, this is actually, because the energy the place I am, the human I am is I'm the one with the links, the mixtapes, the guy that's going to send you all of the music, but I'm also the guy that's going to send you a link on a spiritual practice or a link on some human things. So something human in your life in the moment. My friends are like, you're a little bit psychic, get out of here. And I'm just like, yes, darling, didn't you know? But I feel like I stay in tune with myself enough and with myself that, then I stay in my prayers too. So, I like when I talk to my friends, I talk to my people, I talk to them from a realistic standpoint, not just a promo or the superficial top line, I want to say. So that's what we're bringing to this show. Like, I know a great amount of had contact with in different ways, a great amount of people. And, if I respect them and we respect each other, it's instant love. If it's not, then it's instant, I'm good.
I'm all right.
I'm all right. Also, I always try to, and I've been, and this is something I've been working on, is always try to look at things with empathy, what they going through this week that made them feel like they were nervous or they were caged, or what they've been going through in their life that I have no judgment. I try not to judge, but also I follow my energy. And that leads me to empathy. So, that's the show. It's I want you to feel like you're in my living room, sitting on the floor, and I just gave you some snacks, or I just gave you a plate of rice and chicken, and now we're talking, and we're just sitting here. If I could do it in real life, that's literally what I would be like, okay, I'm cooking, I'm bringing to the studio. What do you want to eat? Because that's what that's what mom and them do. You don't go to my mom's house and she hasn't cooked. I would fly in. Every time I fly in, it doesn't matter. I land at 5 a.m. My mom will have made my favorite African food, and it's Ma, it's 7 a.m. Why is there African food on the stove? Because I made it for you. You're not going to eat. All right, okay, it's 7 a.m. but I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat this heavy palm oil. I'm gonna do it, Ma. No, I'm going to take a nap. I'll be right back. I love her, but that's how we are,
That's real, though.
Yeah. But people, I think, especially in music and in the arts and industry, we're taught to have a barrier, have a break. You absolutely should have a protection of your energy, but you should also, I don't really believe in being cagey about your joy and being a weirdo about sharing your blessings to a degree, unless you're just completely consistently being sucked, per se, your energy's being sapped. Take time and get it back. But I think our purpose as artists is to spread knowledge, joy, love, purpose, and that's been my thing. That's anybody that's come around me knows. You might get an invite and might come sit on the floor and we might get into a deep discussion, or we might just kick it, and just nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Just sometimes it's the company of being around other humans and just.
That's so real. That's so real. Listen, I peeped your playlist too. You got some trap music in there. And
today's episode is trapness.
I said, Estelle with the trap. I see where we're going here.
Look, I get to do everything from the 70s up until 2010, right? That's my year's quota. And so that was some of the best trap. It was around 2005 to 2010.
Man, that Gucci and Yo Gotti.
Try to tell people. And Jeezy, the beginnings, that era, T.I.
era. Oh, man. Classic. Estelle, I want to ask you a question to wrap this thing up today. I want to ask you the question we asked, we have so many guests on this show, and the show is so, influenced about, education and people trying to figure out what's the right move, and entrepreneurship. And we asked everybody on this show, if you were that person who just graduated college, or, perhaps you didn't even walk across the stage at all, and you were asking yourself the question of the podcast, school's over, now what? What advice would Estelle give?
I'd say now you know a little bit about yourself. Now, if you have the energy or you have the time or you have the financial space, and even while you do, even if you don't, whether you do or don't, take some time to figure out exactly who you are. That's going to inform every single one of your moves. So if you have to go find a job or find something, dedicate some specific time. If it means you get up at 5 a.m. or you go to sleep a little bit later, to just yourself. Meditate, journal, draw, create. Do something that pushes you outside of the zone of who you're supposed to be based on your college, because that's where you find yourself. Like you have to, when you're in college, you have to be there and do a specific thing, and that's perfect, right? But there's also an energy or a part of you that needs to experience the world. And if you've been to college, you may have left your town or not. But the world is so vast. There's so many perspectives. Some are short, some are huge. And I mean, the internet's one way to get at it, and we can't really travel right now because passports don't really want to go anywhere. Man, but look, even if you can take a 2-minute trip to Mexico, go to New Mexico instead of Cabo. Go to, travel to Phoenix or travel to New Orleans. Go somewhere else other than home, or other than the city you spent 4 years studying in, and just be and see what happens. See what happens. Trust yourself, trust the city, trust yourself, and just see how you navigate through life outside of the confines of what you've been told for 4 years, and see how you develop. You're always going to have what you've had and you built for 4 years. You're always going to have that. You work so hard for that. I'm proud of you for that. That takes dedication and struggle. Now, if you have a minute, it doesn't have to be right after, it can be during, but just go. Just use it. That space is you just going. The travel is you just going, but go see. It's a lot of us. We are so big and so vast as humans, and we use 20% of it. Let's get into the rest of that 80. Consider that studying and getting to where you've gone is 20% of you being a human. There's 80% of you to discover. And that's over time, but it's also now. It's right at this point,
Yo, facts, man. Appreciate you so much dropping huge gems today on today's podcast. And people want to know more about you, where they can find you, what's your latest moves, where can people expect, and where can they locate, Estelle going forward?
I'm on Apple Music Hits every morning, 8 a.m. on the West Coast time, 11 a.m. East Coast, 10 a.m. Central. On Apple Hits Music, I stream live, and then we put the shows up in podcasts. I'm on at Estelle Darlings on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, Estelle Darlings the same, and I'm on Facebook /Estelle. I'm just here. I'm here. I'm doing all the content bits for you to see. We're creating new music too, so I have new music coming in soon, and more TV and more film. But I'm in this space, and I'm just maximizing it and utilizing it all. It feels good.
Estelle, we appreciate you guys. And for those of you that have been listening and enjoyed this episode, always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it. Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn R. Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.